Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Sport Federation TV. I'm Lenyukta Chetty and once again I'll be your host. Tonight's show we're taking a look at 4 amazing sports. We'll start off with equestrian, then take a look at synchronized swimming as well as volleyball a little bit later, and we're ending off the show with racing pigeons. Joining me first from the world of Western Cape equestrian, we have Linda Mohr and Thomas Mbalula. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Right. So, well, both of you have quite a rich history in the sport. Let's start off with you, Linda. Tell us about your involvement.
Well, I've been involved in horses all my life. It was first, my passion was racing, horse racing. And then when my children were born, they were more into the less high-risk sport. And they went into dressage and show jumping. And I'm passionate about it now, and that's where it all started.
You, Thomas?
My love for horses started as a little man back in the Free State, where we hurdled cattle around with little ponies. And then that's how I grew into it and became the first black South African to be part of the Western Province team in Port Elizabeth.
So from humble beginnings in the Free State to, well, quite an accomplished rider, is that the correct term?
Yes.
Now, well, Thomas, tell us about some of the tournaments or opportunities you've had.
I've had quite, actually all my competitions. It's been, I've had quite very exciting shows, competition support, and people supporting basically all the time.
Okay. Yeah. What has been the highlight of your career as an athlete in this sport?
Just being part of the sport is actually the highlight of the career, and then I ended up joining the Vader Lancer Rietvlei Club in Philippi. So, and it just keeps going on, it doesn't stop.
Vader Lancer Rietvlei Club, quite a mouthful, and I'm sure with just as an exciting history as well. How did that club become into existence?
It was in Philippi. It was a farmland where they grew vegetables, and it's been in the Mohr family for going on to 4 generations now. So our stable yard is called Vader Lancer Rietvlei Stables, and then we decided we had to have a graded club, so that we just kept the name.
Yes.
And the club with the club at the end. Vader Lancer Rietvlei farm is actually the oldest farm in Philippi. It used to be a halfway house for when Simon van der Stel came to the Cape.
Right, right. Well, Philippi is not one of the most developed areas in the Cape, and also home to a lot of underprivileged people. How do those communities relate to your farm?
Well, we've taught, and we do have 2 or 3 members in our club that have shown a passion to horses, and there's one child, Kamva, who is a farm labourer's child, and we've given him a horse to ride. We teach him, and for the last 3 years he's been in the top 2 rider rankings for dressage.
Wow. Well, you've got a lovely story as well about a guy who came from also very humble beginnings, but he's one of the most celebrated athletes in your sport at the moment.
Bongani arrived at our farm. We've got 2 farms, and the one was a pig farm. And my son Grant, who was then 4, befriended him and asked me if he could come home for Easter weekend. And Bongani stayed for the next 4 years or 5 years. And we taught him to ride, and he qualified for the FEI World Challenge, which we found sponsorship for him, and he went to Germany and he won it. He is the only South African to win the FEI Challenge. And from there he went into vaulting. He's now one of our top vaulters in the country, and he's also an FEI representative for vaulting.
What a lovely story, hey? So, and such an amazing accomplishment for someone who had maybe bleak outcomes before this.
So no, definitely. And at the moment now, look, we support anybody. I support anybody that shows a passion for the sport.
Yes.
And at the moment, my daughter is campaigning for the Olympics on a South African horse, and it will be the only South African horse rider, if she does qualify, to ever make the Olympics for South Africa.
Amazing, amazing. So not only your own children to be proud of, but for the children in your extended family that you've adopted from the community.
Definitely.
Hey? Yeah, well, Thomas, she's been saying all these big equestrian words, and they're all related to the different components in your sport. Describe for us some of the different activities that one would have to compete in equestrian.
So equestrian is, there's three types of equestrian sports as how it goes. So it's a dressage, show jumping, and then it's eventing. So you start with the dressage. You start with the dressage to school your horse, like the basic stuff, whereby they need to know to keep 20-meter circles and to be balanced. That's where the balance comes from your dressage. And then the other one is the show jumping. You get hurdles whereby you have to clear them, and you're given a few amounts, say about 10 of them, and then you got to clear them. And if you knock them down, that's where you get 4 penalties, and then that's how to determine winner into the show jumping. And then the last one would be eventing. So that's out in the open, in the bush. You get about, say, 23 to 24 jumps, and there's time given for you to clear the course and to finish it.
Okay.
So that's,
And I'm sure it's all very exciting as well when you're competing. Hey?
It is very exciting. It doesn't stop.
Yes, and especially sports that involve animals. It's very different from the usual, the more other known sports where you don't have animals or you don't have something to care for. Tell us about the relationship with the animals.
That's never. It doesn't stop. You go into, and you can never be separated from them. You could tell yourself that I want to do something else now for say 3-4 weeks. By the 4th week, you just want to be back with them again.
Yeah.
Because you can never be separated from them.
The take-home message here is that if you love horses and you'd like to be a part of the sport, there is a way to make it happen, provided you put in the energy it requires to excel, or even to develop.
Look, the difference with a normal sport and with equestrian is it's hard work. It's not just you, it's your horse. Some days your horse decides, no, actually, I don't want to do it, or I'm not feeling 100%. I still remember coming out of a dressage class with my daughter, and she was very upset the way the pony went. And someone turned around and said, you know what, if you want to do a sport where you're in control, ride a quad bike. And that is so true.
Yes, absolutely. When I had, later on we'll be taking a look at racing pigeons, but they also have the same attitude about that relationship, how important that bond is with your let's say your partner in the sport, because that's what it is. It's a partnership.
Yeah, and look, the horses get nervous. They can get scared of a crowd. So you never know. You could have you warm up your horse before a show, and it could be 100%. And you go into the show and it goes, oh, I don't like that corner. Or the judge might have moved in her box.
Yes.
And they think, no, I'm not going up there. And it is disappointing, but you know what? It's the next time you're going to win it. So you've just got to take every show and every ride.
Yeah, and that's part of the victory. If everything goes as planned, it's part of the victory. Thomas, what are some of the events that are coming up that people can maybe come in, have spectators for?
Yeah, we have a couple of shows. We've got one now coming up at Vaderlandse Rietvlei, which is a dressage show. And then we have a couple of shows all around the province, which are for jumpings. I'm just not sure about the dates and all of that. But if you look it up on the show jumping side or the dressage side or eventing side, you would be able to view it.
Tell us about the ways people can get in touch with Equestrian if they'd like to support the sport in its development efforts, or also just join to participate.
Well, we've got a couple of Facebook pages. Our one page is Vaderlandse Rietvlei Stables, and that keeps you up to date with what is happening. The other one is the Vaderlandse Rietvlei Club, and we have shows twice a month, and spectators are welcome. It's more of a social event while you watch the horses going through their paces.
Yes.
We do jumping, we do dressage, and we have a couple of newcomer eventing shows.
Okay, wonderful. It was very nice to meet you both. Thomas, all the best in all your dreams and all your hopes and aspirations in your sport.
Thank you.
And Linda, thank you for the effort that you put in to give this opportunity to people that otherwise may never have a way out of dire circumstances. And may you continue to do that.
Thank you very much.
All right, and come back and give us more news from your sport.
Will do.
Okay, after the break, we'll be taking a look at synchronized swimming. So please stay tuned for that.